Okay, so 13.3, area of a circle. All right, so be careful. So far, area of a parallelogram. Somebody raise your hand and tell me the formula. Area of a parallelogram. Raquel. Correct. Base times height. Area of a rectangle can also be base times height. What's the other formula? John? Length times width. Correct. Area of a square can also be base times height, or a specific formula. What's that one, Madison? Side squared. All right, so we had those formulas. Then last night, who can give me the area of a triangle formula? Kirsten? Area of a triangle equals 1/2 base times height, and then the area of a trapezoid. Who remembers that one off the top of their head? Area of a trapezoid. Ileana? Okay, 1/2 times the quantity, base 1 plus base 2 times height. And how do you know which sides are the bases for a trapezoid? Jack? It is the parallel sides, right? And remember, heights are always perpendicular distances. All right, well, that brings us to a circle. We're not going to have any base. We're not going to have any height in our circle, that is for sure. Can anybody raise their hand and tell me the formula for area of a circle? Alexandra? No. No. Round. Round. Huh? Give me your formula again. What'd you just say? Area of a circle is? Round. 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 Pies are round. You have square pies? You do? What? The only square pie, which, if you're Italian and you go up to, all right, what's Dale Boulevard? What's the pizza place, the Italian pizza place? What is it? No, no, well, no, what's, not Armetta's, up on Dale Boulevard, Minnieville, in the shopping plaza. Italian! Is it Padrino's? Padrino's. And you go to Padrino's, can you get a square pie? What do you call a square pizza pie? It's a Sicilian pizza. Sicilian pies are square. All right. She was correct, though. The area of a circle is pi r squared. Pi r squared. And of course, you know, any circle, we know what the radius is. So that's really all we need to know is the radius to figure out the area of a circle, pi r squared. Your book is still using, as Alexandra also mentioned, the value for pi, and that is, say, class? 3.14. That's really a little bit of a round off. You actually have a pi button on your calculator, but to keep all our answers looking the same, we're just going to use the 3.14. So it's an easy formula. All we really need is the radius, and voila. I mean, that's it. So we often use 3.14 for pi. I forgot I had that blank right below, or we wouldn't have done it above. Okay? All right. Well, sometimes the only thing that can make the area of a circle tricky is maybe they don't tell us flat out the radius. Well, we have to remember a couple relationships. Remember, any diameter equals twice the radius, right? And who can raise their hand and tell me one of the circumference formulas? We had two of them. We had them already. Gabe, give me one of them. 2 pi r is one of the circumference formulas. Hey, don't mix that up with area. That students will do that. Students will mix up circumference, the distance around the circle, with area, how many square units are in the circle, right? That's different. If you guys will look at the circle, circumference is how much is that distance, right? Area is, you know, how many squares make up the circle. So don't mix up circumference and area. What's the other circumference formula? Pamela? Pi d. All right, so the only thing that can make these a little bit tricky is if they give you the circumference instead of the radius, or if they give you the diameter instead of the radius. Other than that, they're pretty easy. And so let's go through and work a few problems. All right, so A and B. How do you always start any problem involving area? With the? So I usually just put a little circle symbol. Again, I'm trying to train my brain to remember the difference. And we're going to do pi r squared. If it's Sicilian, it's square. And so it's pretty simplistic, 3.14 for pi. I'm putting 4 meters because I always include my units, don't I? I don't violate the order of operations, right? You must do the squared part first before you do any multiplication. If you violate that, you're going to get a wrong answer, excuse me. So this is going to end up 3.14. What's 4 meters squared? Somebody raise your hand and tell me what you get when you square 4 meters. Kaylin? 16 watts. What are the units? 16 meters? What's a meter times a meter? John? Meters squared. Just like you square the 4, you square the meters. What is 4 meters times 4 meters? 4 times 4 is 16. Meters times meters of meters squared. Now again, if you'll keep your units there, you'll keep track. Now just take your calculator, punch it out, 3.14 times 16. And somebody raise your hand and tell me what that is. What is that? Abby? 50.24, and that's meter squared. Anybody agree? 50 point, okay. 50.24. And we're going to go to 2 decimal places because it ended there, right? It was exact to that, so just include those 2 decimal places. 50.24. It's really a run-on answer, but we've rounded off pi, and so that means it rounds off. Okay, not a big deal. Pretty easy. Let's go to B. Area of a circle equals pi r squared. All right, you guys want to try this one? All right, once you guys try it, I'm going to pause the video. All right, so the question is, obviously you used 3.14 for pi. What did you use for your radius? I hope you used 7.5 units. Because this is a diameter, isn't it? And you can tell because the 15's written right in the middle of it. Look at the difference between this one and that one. It's obvious, isn't it? So that was a diameter. So the radius is half the amount. Now if that would have been a 16, the radius would be 8. If that would have been an 18, the radius would be 9. We got to use 7.5. So we're just going to punch that out. So can somebody tell me what 7.5 squared is? Kirsten? 56.25 units squared. And now I can multiply that times 3.14. And Kirsten, what'd you get for a final answer? 176.625. Anybody concur? All right, 176.625. And again, it ended in 3, so we might as well end it in 3. All right, if you're doing homework and the book says round to the 10th, that'll be 1 decimal place. If it says round to the 100th, then round to 2. We're just going to follow our general rules, 1 decimal place unless it ends close by. Questions on that? How many did 7.5 for the radius? Let me see your hands. All right, so you got caught. Those of you that got caught by the diameter, don't get caught again. Right? You guys heard the adage, fool me once, shame on you, but fool me twice, the shame is on me, meaning you, right? If you do it again, all All right, if you do it again, shame on you, because now you know. All right, we brought it up. Don't do it again. Don't fall into that trap again. All right, let's get to some pizza. Yeah. Let's find the area of this 16-inch pizza and the 18. So let's do this. Let's do you 2 rows here. You do the 16-inch pizza, and you 3 rows here. You do the 18-inch pizza. All right. And we'll compare our area. And the area is what you get to eat, right? So this is a real life problem, which is good, because we get to eat the pizza. Is the difference in price usually a whole lot between a medium and a large? Usually not a big deal. They're usually fairly close. They don't even sell hardly any mediums anymore. Everybody buys large these days. And one person's large, I mean, you know, some pizza shops their large is a 16-inch. Where other places their large is an 18-inch. So if you pay the same price for a 16 as you pay for an 18, you get a whole lot more area, which is the pizza, with the 18, right? All right, so somebody from the first 2 rows, raise your hand. Tell me what you got for your area. Kyle, what do you got? 200.96 inches squared. Anybody in row 1 or 2 concur with that? You agree? Okay, sounds good. So about 201 square inches of pizza for our 16-inch. Somebody in the last 3 rows, tell me what you got for your area. I'm looking for someone that hasn't said anything yet. Eduardo, what do you got for your area? 254.34. How many agree with Eduardo 254.34? Okay. 200 roughly, correct? This one is about 53-ish square inches more. That's a whole quarter more of this pizza, right? It's a whole quarter more of that pizza. So it's a decent amount to go from a 16 to an 18. Now, if you can find a pizza shop that does a 20-inch, bellissimo, molto bello. All right, Sicilian. Oh, and now I want to go to Padrino's and get a Sicilian with the works. It's like this big, I'm telling you. It fills the whole box, and it's like that thick. Oh, yeah. I could, but then I'd have to kill you. Or I'd want to kill you. No. When I taught geometry in the past, we did take field trip to an ice cream shop because we were doing volume of a cone. Yeah. We are about to do a cone. All right. Hey, what if you've got to come up with the radius? So remember, our area of a circle is pi r squared, if they're Sicilian. And so we can use the area formula to find the radius. Which, by the way, once you know the radius, could you then figure out the diameter? Right? Just double the radius, right? So you could even find the diameter. Hey, how about this? Once you know the radius, could you find the circumference? 2 pi r, right? So if you know the area, you can find not only the radius, but the diameter and the circumference. They all relate through the radius. All right, so let's do an example here. Oh no, there's no picture. Surely we will have no idea what to do. Sam, how should we start? Amen, brother. Preach it. Start with the formula. Area of a circle equals pi r squared. Somebody tell me what to do next. Come on, you always want to tell me what to do. Jordan? Tell me. What do you want me to do? Oh, by the way, that's got to be squared. Don't you agree? First edition notes. So, right, area is always in square units, so that had to be a squared. All right. What else you want me to do, Jordan?
I want you to
For the pi?
Yes.
And then what else?
And
We don't need a parentheses, r squared. Do you agree? We did our substitution. So far, so good. Looking beautiful. All right, the key now is, look, this is math, guys, and this is a key thought here. Everybody focus now and listen. Now the key for you to do is look at this equation, right? Do you agree we have an equation? And we know we're going to isolate the variable, yes? But we have to think back and say, okay, this kind of equation, what do we do next? So that's what I need, my next step. Nick, what do you want to do next? I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Gabe? Okay, I agree. That is the next step. Because what is my goal right now? When I looked up, raise your hand on this one. So when I looked at the equation, what was the thought that should have come into my head, John? Not isolate the variable, isolate the squared term, right? Which is isolating the variable in this case, right? We're doing an equation where the variable is squared. So we got to get to that r squared, and this is going to do it. So can somebody on their calculator divide 78.5 by 3.14? Josh, what do you got? All right, so we're still meters squared. 25 meters squared equals r squared. That's where we're at right now. Now, we're not done, right? We have not isolated the variable yet. We're close. So what is the next step, Blake? Okay, so what am I going to do to both sides? Take the square root. Remember, square roots undo squares. Now, normally we put a plus minus, except when it's what? Distance. Are radii ever negative? It would have to be like a black hole, all right? All right, unless you have an innie instead of an outie. All right, but radiuses are always positive, so we don't worry about the plus minus your belly button, all right, if you didn't catch that. All right, belly buttons, innie or an outie. All right. Can we simplify 25? No, so we're going to leave that square root of 25. But wait a minute. Can you take the square root of meters squared? What's the square root of meters squared? Meters. So the meters, we can do that part. So we got the square root of 25 meters equals our radius. And that's going to stay as, oh, wait a minute. We can simplify that. No Kool-Aid for a bunch of you guys. Some of you other ones, you fell right into that. Good night. What was I thinking? 25. Oh, duh. Here, review of, hey, it's a square root. We got to find a number times itself 2 times. A 5 times itself 2 times is a 25. We get the 5 out. We can do the meter square. We get the meter out, and that equals a radius. And so our radius was 5 meters. Brother, square root of 25. Duh. Okay, so we can do problems like that. And again, if they said, hey, what's the diameter? You would say 10 meters. If they said, what's the circumference? You'd have to put the r into the circumference formula, right? You would then now do the circumference formula. C equals 2 pi r. And figure that out. Lauren?
So if the number was what you could take the square root of, would you just leave it?
I would leave the radical. I would simplify it if I could. So let me just, everybody look up here for a moment. You know, what if we ended up with the square root of 40, let's say inches equals r? Well, again, I'm going to look to simplify this square root of 40. I'm going to factor 2 times 20, a 20, a 2 times 10. Hey, right now, can I take the square root of 2 times 2? It would be a 2. A 10 is going to be 1, 2, and 1, 5. Will I have 2 of anything left? No. So it stays underneath, and that would have been like that, right? 2 times the square root of 10 if we had something like that. Okay? That's an exact answer, and we like having exact answers unless the book said round it off. All right, let's get to the grand finale. Yeah. All right, be quiet now. You got to think on problems like this. What in the world kind of shape is that? Who knows? It's an odd looking shape. But I know this. I got to figure out the shaded area. And this is going to be a problem where we do area total. But you got to look at this and figure out what kind of shapes. So first off, we got to figure out our main formula. What shapes gives you that shape? That's what I'm after. Ashton? Okay, let's do the triangle first. So area of a triangle, should I do a multiplication sign or plus sign next? Class? Plus. You got to add them up, right? Now, be careful here. Don't do anything yet. This is what Ashton wants me to do. Is that going to give me the area of the shape? No. Close. I gotta add one thing to get there. I gotta add one thing to get there. One thing. Adriana? 1/2 for what? The triangle or the circle? Awesome, right? That's a semicircle, isn't it? Don't we have half a circle? So we gotta do half the area of a circle. Okay, it's wise to now do our specific formula. Somebody again raise your hand and tell me the area of a triangle. Alexis, why don't you give it to me? Area of a triangle. Not quite base times height. Did I hear you correctly? Base times height? Not quite. Andrew? 1/2 base times height. Be careful. Remember, triangle is 1/2 plus, don't forget your 1/2. Then I'm going to do it in green. Somebody tell me the area of a circle, Jack? What's the formula for area of a circle? Nope. Somebody else. Area of a circle, please. Raquel? Pi r squared. Okay. All right. I'm going to let you finish it. Go ahead and now sub in your values. See if you can finish it. I'm going to pause the video here. All right. So the half is a half. I'll come back to the base of the triangle because that's the trickiest part of the problem. The height of the triangle is 10 centimeters, correct? Right here. The half is a half, pi is 3.14, and the radius is obviously 8 centimeters squared, right? So I'm going to keep finishing my area first. So half times 3.14 times 64 centimeters squared. So, can somebody tell me what you get for the semicircle part, half the circle? Kaylin? Say it again, 100 point. Anybody agree? 100.48? Yeah, it's right. 32 times 3.14 sounds good. So, who can raise their hand and tell me what to put in? Oops, let me make that red for the base of the triangle. Oops. I'll get there sooner or later. Right there. What value is the base of the triangle? Sam? 16 centimeters. Josh, what were you going to say? You too? 16? How in the world did you get that, Josh? Okay, would you agree this is the diameter? Isn't that the diameter? Isn't the diameter twice the radius? Which, by the way, if you want to think of it this way, what was the value from here to here? 8 centimeters. What's the value from here to here? 8 centimeters. What's the diameter? 16 centimeters. How many figured out it was 16 centimeters for the base of the triangle? All right, now you know the tricks. You should know. All right, so half times 16 is 8. 8 times 10 is 80. So that's 80 centimeters squared. Grand total, 180.48 centimeters squared. What a good problem. All right, a little bit of homework tonight. Quiz mañana. You have a quiz tomorrow. A little bit of homework tonight. Quiz tomorrow.